Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bobble. It is so good to be back with you. Here we are. It's Saturday, and that means time for our Saturday Spiritualist class and our Seance. Well, I tell you, I'm just so glad you're here. By the way, I've been getting a lot of letters and questions, so I just need to address a few things before we get into everything. People are asking what my new phone number is. Some of you called me or wrote me and said, Bob, I called your old office number. It's not working. Are you still doing readings? Yes. My new number is 703-825-3929. You can call me. If I'm not there, please leave a message. I will get it, okay? And we'll get you on the schedule for a private reading, okay? Also, if you want to write to me, my link for my email is in the info box below this video, and it's readings@robert-hickman.com. So check that out, okay? Also, I want to tell you, if you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button. Be part of Spirit Channel. We've been doing a lot of great stuff. Yesterday, we had a wonderful video on how to do a radio seance. If you didn't see that, check it out. We didn't get a lot of stuff in that video, but as I'm listening to it, I'm thinking I'm hearing more and more. So there's a wealth of information there, and you might enjoy it, especially if you're exploring your foray into the paranormal and into spiritualism. So, every Friday we're having Paranormal Friday, where we're going to explore paranormal topics. So as I said yesterday, we did how to do a radio seance. Today we're going to do trance channeling after our class. So just keep it here, and we're going to have that. But today we're going to continue on. We're talking about another wonderful spiritualist who we all know and love, Sylvia Browne. If you don't know Sylvia Browne, definitely she's worth a check out. She unfortunately is in the spirit world. I wish she were still here with us. But she's doing a lot of work from over in the spirit. But this is her book we're studying, Mystical Traveler. And we're going through this book as part of our class over the next few weeks. And we're continuing on today with what we've been working on, which is life themes. And Sylvia has 47 life themes, and we're up to 41. So hopefully we can finish these today. We're going to give it a go, okay? And then we're going to get on to more next week about how to become a mystical traveler. Okay, so let's continue on. Actually, I got to put on my glasses here. All right, theme number 41 is the Temperance Theme, okay? And Sylvia writes, she says, the challenge here is to avoid extremes, as entities with a temperance theme are more than likely dealing with some addiction or of one kind or another. Or they may have conquered the actual addiction, but are still dealing with the residue of feelings about it. The key to combating the fanaticism that often characterizes this theme is moderation, the true meaning of temperance. Now let me just pause here. This is interesting because over my many years of work as a psychic, I have encountered people with this life theme. I've had clients that have been heroin addicts, alcoholics, but they're still wonderful people. And this is one of the things I want to say about this theme. Do not judge an addict. I know that they can wreak havoc in many people's lives, but if we can understand it from the spiritual place, and we say, that person's obviously working out something, who am I to judge? Then we'll have greater peace in dealing with people that have a temperance theme. Now, I've met people who have a temperance theme, and as it says, they take the narrow view, like they're all extreme, like they're a total alcoholic, or they're a total fanatic about anti-alcohol. And I've seen people, and it's interesting, I've seen alcoholics who swing the pendulum, and they'll be like totally an alcoholic one day, and the next day they're, and not to pick on this religion, they'll become a fanatical Christian, though. And it's like, God's this and God's that. Well, they've not mastered their temperance theme because they've just switched one extreme for the other. And so this is a real challenge. And I think, honestly, the souls that choose this are actually advanced souls. And I know some of us like, say, Bob, you didn't live with my mother or my brother or my whoever was an alcoholic. How can they be advanced souls? Well, remember, when you go into the light, you see the bigger picture. And we don't always know what that bigger picture is. So let's try not to judge. Let's try to love. Now, dealing with somebody with a temperance theme doesn't mean you have to let them into your life either. You can love them at a distance, but understand that they're working out something. Okay. All right. Number 42, tolerance. Entities choosing this theme must be tolerant about everything: world affairs, relatives, children, politics, and so forth. Their burden is so great that they'll often only choose one area to tolerate, remaining very narrow-minded about all the rest. But by the recognizing of their theme, these entities can meet the challenge and grow more magnanimous in the process. Now I have to tell you, this is an interesting theme as well, because we're seeing a lot of this tolerance theme in the world today, which ironically is showing up as intolerance. There are groups such as Antifa. They're a far leftist group. Now, Sega Bob's a liberal, but I'm not an extreme leftist, okay? And there is a difference. But the importance of tolerance, like people will say, like, for example, an extreme leftist like Antifa will say, we have to have compassion on the suffering. We have to open the borders, let everybody in. Well, do we? I mean, doesn't that create disharmony? And then they'll take it to the extreme of saying, you know, if you're not tolerant about just open borders, then you're a fascist and you're a hater, and we'll incite violence against you to destroy you. And this tolerance theme, I really feel, is playing out in a lot of people's lives right now, especially in the political arena. And so it's interesting. They want us to be open-minded and tolerant, yet if you choose a view that's somewhat different, they become very intolerant. So it's interesting. I've seen a lot of this. Maybe you've seen it too, you know. For example, Donald Trump. Now, I'm not here to be political. I know a lot of people don't like Donald Trump, but there are also a lot of people who do like Donald Trump. So I'm not trying to be political here. But what's interesting is the extremes that I see. People call him a fascist and say he's hateful and all this, and they even go violent whenever you just even say the name. Some of them are people with tolerance themes who have not figured out how to be tolerant in their tolerance. Irony, isn't it? All right. Theme number 43, victim theme. This is a tough one. I've met some people with this. These entities have chosen to be martyrs and sacrificial lambs, and through their example, dramatically displayed by the media, were made aware of injustice. President John F. Kennedy is one who pursued a victim theme, though through his means of exiting the planet, his back pain, his family name, and the pressures placed upon him by his parents. After having played their parts, many victims choose to rewrite future scripts by altering their masochistic tendencies. You know, this is a theme also. This is interesting how she talks about John F. Kennedy, because I've always thought of him as having a leader theme, but now that she says it, that makes sense to me, his victim theme. It's not something I would have seen necessarily on the surface, but I think, you know, looking deeper, that makes real sense to me. Victim theme people are interesting. Some of them take their victimhood and turn it into amazing success. I call it turn your scars into stars. They'll take scars and abuse and all this struggle, and rather than wallow in and just be poor me, they change. These are where, you know, you have people, for example, that start nonprofits, like, you know, for people that are like maybe abuse victims, you know, like domestic abuse. You know, they've spent their life being a victim, and they say, enough's enough. I'm turning it around, and now I'm going to stop being abused and help others who are abused so they don't get abused. That's the positive side of the victim theme. And I think if you're somebody that feels like you have a victim theme, you know, this is, again, one of those life themes I think only exists until you wake up from it and change. And so you don't have to stay a victim theme forever. You can change it. All right, number 44. Now, this is the opposite extreme, the victimizer theme. People's Temple leader Jim Jones was a prime example of this theme in action. It's obvious that many lives, as well as many themes, interacted with his. In the tapestry of life, Jones's unique role may have been to focus public attention on cult abuse. Now, some of you may be too young to remember this, but I remember this back in the 1970s. Jim Jones was a preacher, and he started a religious fanatical cult down in, I think it was in Guyana, down in Central America. And he got all these church followers to go. He told people it's the end of the world's coming and that they need to gather as a people to be prepared. And thousands, probably, I don't know how many thousands, several thousand, I know, went down there and lived at his big compound. He had a big kind of setup there. And one day he got him, supposedly, received a revelation that revelation was here and it was time that we all go to heaven. He made giant batches of Kool-Aid laced with cyanide and had all the cult members drink. Children even drank it. And when some people in the cult started to say, oh no, we're not doing, that's crazy, and they kind of woke up, they had people that would stand outside the compound guns and shoot them, and they even shot children. And sometimes they'd shoot the parents and they would drag the children back in and pour the poison Kool-Aid down their throat. Now you have to remember, this was in the 1970s. We had never in this country seen tragedy on such a scale like that. That was probably one of the most shocking things. And even 40 years later, I still remember it and have never forgotten it. So Jim Jones definitely was a victimizer. I think also that people, for example, that were in the concentration camps, that were the guards, you know, who tortured people, these were victimizers, you know. You know, we want to look at victimizers and say, just kill them all, get rid of them, you know. Sometimes we want to victimize the victimizers, which was certainly understandable. But when we step back, and we have to take it from the higher place, are these people working out a karmic thing? Are they helping others work out a karmic thing? And what is their role? So, for example, if you're a victim, there's a victimizer in your life. So both of these themes seem to go together. So how do you overcome your victimizer? You know, and if you're a victimizer and you realize, wow, I've been really hateful and hostile and abusive to people, this means that you've taken that role in order to awaken, to then switch your role. So I think some of these roles can be switched. And so this is one where I do believe you can even come out of that role. It's much harder for people that live that life, but I think it's part of spiritual evolution. Okay, point number 45, the warrior theme. These entities are fearless risk takers who assume a variety of physical challenges, so many go into some form of military service or law enforcement. Although it's important to temper aggression, it still remains that without warriors, we would be prey to tyrants. Isn't that interesting? I've known a number of people that have warrior themes in their lives, and, you know, they're wonderful. You know, Lord Tony, who you know is our Lord Guardian of the Order of the Purple Cross, I think he has a warrior theme. And he has such a connection to his weapons, his swords, his staffs, and he's truly a guardian of our order. And you know what? Who better than a warrior-themed person to have as guardian? So anyways, you know, come tomorrow on Sunday, you'll get to see Lord Tony, and you can see how he protects us. He has spiritual power more than just earthly power. So this is the other side they don't really talk about here. Sylvia does talk about the military people, which I do agree. Many of them are warrior themes. But there's also spiritual warrior. And some of the people sitting in their little rooms at night by candlelight are sending out forces of protection to battle evil. There are prayer warriors, you know. A lot of the Christian churches have their prayer warrior groups, they call them. I think that's a good thing. I think the Wicca should have prayer warriors. In fact, I know that among some Wicca, there are prayer warriors. And so maybe you feel called to kind of stand in the gap to protect people. You don't have to have violence always. Of course, some people, it is what I call necessary violence. We do have to have weapons to defend against victimizers and tyrants. But there's also prayer war. You, by developing your soul energy, can be a warrior of light. There's another way to express that thing. Think about that. All right, number 46 theme, the wealth theme. Oh, I want that theme. I've never got that theme, though, but I like that idea. Oh, gosh, a wealth theme. This theme sounds like a great choice, but it's invariably more like a burden that leads to destructive behaviors if unchecked. As with any theme, its goal is to overcome its negative aspects. Wealth is a seductive tempter that acts like an addiction. It's very difficult to gain control of this theme. so it tends to become one's master. People with this theme may be obsessed with acquiring, growing, and hoarding money, unconcerned with the methods of acquisition or the consequences of their action in their quest for more. Moral values are of no importance to those in this category, so it can take many lives to overcome due to its powerful effect on a person. When people finally do master wealth, you find them freely giving away their belongings with no desire for anything in return. You know, I got to tell you, I have a number of clients. God love them. They're wonderful, most of them. But I have some clients that have a wealth theme. And for them, it's a struggle. Because they get so many people drawn to them, always taking from them, wanting, and they feel overwhelmed. You know, a lot of celebrities have a wealth theme, and it gets the better of them. You know, one of the recent ones that just comes to my mind, is Amy Winehouse. You know, I loved her music. I always thought she was so talented. But with her wealth, she had a very leisurely life towards the end. She had enough money, she could do what she wanted. And unfortunately, that addiction that she didn't conquer earlier in her life, that alcohol addiction, you know, she had the time to indulge in it. She could buy anything she wanted, and she had the leisure time. And so her wealth theme ultimately was destructive for her. I also see this theme in people who win the lottery. You know, you hear these stories of people win the lottery and then they're bankrupt 6 months later and they've won $100 million. Now they're down to zero and living homeless. These are people with wealth theme as well. They were given that blessing to master it and to grow, and some of them just didn't master it. You know, when we work on our life themes, there are challenges. Sometimes we're going to pass, sometimes we're going to fail. And we come here for that purpose. So again, like all the other things, we don't judge it. Don't look and say all evil people are wealthy and all wealthy people are evil and greedy or any of that. Don't go that way. Know that the rich have their burdens. As somebody who reads for a lot of rich people, where I live, it's a wealthy area. And I see it. I see this theme a lot. And, you know, it's interesting. We've been talking about minimalism also. And I think minimalism is a great way to also challenge yourself if you have a wealth theme. Because you tend to be more generous. You give away stuff, as it says. So, you know, for those of you who have a wealth theme, you're struggling, explore minimalism. I don't have a wealth theme, but I'll tell you, minimalism has brought me a lot of satisfaction so far, and I've just begun with it. Anyways, so that's point 46. Now, point 47, and we're going to be through with the life themes, is a winner theme. Unlike those entities with the theme of infallibility, to whom everything comes easily, winners strive to win with great tenacity, often gambling or entering contests. Perennial optimists, they're always certain that the next deal, job, or marriage will be the best. No sooner has one deal fallen through than they pick themselves up and go on to what they know will be a winning situation. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was a positive example of this theme. As a general, his unfailing optimism was inspiring. As president, his confidence had a calming effect. The challenge for these entities, which Eisenhower appears to have met, is to take a realistic approach to winning. You know, I think that's wonderful, too. You know, winner themes, usually winners, as I said, are optimists. They're positive people. They're a joy to be around. They do inspire a lot of people, and a lot of them have a lot of success. Sometimes people have a winner theme, and they just barely get there, but they get there, you know. I'd say the negative side to this theme is when people become unrealistic. You know, where I live, there's a little deli around the corner, a little corner shop, and they sell lotto tickets there. And I have watched people come in that shop, cash their paycheck. They might have a $600 paycheck, and they cash it, and they spend $500 buying lottery tickets because they're just sure they're going to win. These are people who are winner theme. They're very nice, but they're upbeat, they're positive, but they're not focused in a way on their winning, and they end up hurting themselves. So winner theme has its challenges also. But you know, these life themes, I got to tell you, so anyways, just to finish up winner theme though, but as I said, they have their challenges, but I think by and all, it's generally a very positive theme. So we're going to stop there for today. We're going to continue next week. Next week we're going to continue with the book, and we're going to talk about this next chapter, the call that resonates in the soul. So many of you have written to me and called me and said, Psyche Bob, I feel somebody call me, invisible presence, the spirit world. Well, we're going to explore that next week, so make sure to be here for our class. Well, guys, there we go. Now, that's Sylvia's 47 life themes. If you haven't seen the others, go back, watch the previous week's video. I cover all of them. As I said, I a little bit disagree with Sylvia, and that doesn't mean I don't respect her. Every psychic has their way. I actually think there are more than 47 life things. I think there are maybe in the hundreds. But these are the ones that she breaks down that I think are important. I think she hits it right on the head with all of them. So anyways, if you haven't got this book, try to get a copy of this. Sylvia Browne's Mystical Traveler. You can pick that up over at Amazon or at, where is it, eBay. You know, they have copies. They're not expensive. It's a thin book. We're going to cover it. So that may help you in the class. You don't have to buy it, but it might help you as you go along. And I think it's worth the investment in that. And I love Sylvia. God rest her soul. Hopefully, maybe one day she'll come again and channel through me. You know, she did that. For those of you who haven't been here a while, if you go back and check my videos, I have a video where she did channel through me. That was amazing. So I'm very blessed to have her connection. Anyways, well, listen, guys, gather up here. We're going to have our little class. We're going to see what the spirit world has. So make yourselves at home. Pull up your chairs. Let's have a seance. Tubies, I'm so glad you're here, and I want you to gather around here. Put your chairs in a circle. If you were in my house here, I'd have you in just little chairs in a circle around me, but we can do that virtually. And we're going to open the door and see what the spirit world has. Now, I'm going to do some trance channeling, and trance is spelled T-R-A-N-C-E, trance. It means I go into a trance state, and during that time, the spirits overshadow my consciousness and take temporary control of my body. But don't worry, it's not possession. It's an agreed sharing of energies. And so don't worry, I'm fine. But anyways, we'll see what they have for us. So pull up your chairs here. I'm going to take the lights down, and we'll see what the spirit people have. Thanks for being here. I'll see you when I get back. Oh, there we go. I think we got in the body pretty smoothly today. Well, greetings to y'all. This is Fletcher. We're so glad to have all of you here today because, you know, those of us over in the spirit world will just be itching to get over here and to say hello. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Let me stabilize our medium's vibration here. And then we got a few other people who want to be saying hello to you. This is Fletcher, over and out. Yes, Fletcher, I do believe that I am a thin body of the medium. It is fascinating to me that in the human condition, we become so conditioned by our present reality that we believe that the earth world is all that there is. You know, as a young man, there was a great push for materialism and atheism. The ideas of Charles Darwin were in vogue. Now, I don't wish to disrespect Mr. Darwin or Dr. Darwin. His theories had great merit in and of themselves. And in fact, if we study the Earth's evolution, we do discover that its evolution is true. But there is the part that has been missing from that theory, and that is the reality of the spirit. All living matter, in fact, all matter, all things created have a consciousness. You may look at a tree and say, oh, it's just a piece of wood, we'll chop it down. But do you not know that that tree has its own very life force, its spirit? When we speak about life, people always say, well, human life is important. Yes, it is, very important. But also, if we neglect the plant life, the insect life, and the animal life, we too shall feel the impact. Across your earth now, there is a great loss of bees, honeybees particular. Many people think, oh, they're annoying insects who sting us. We don't really care. But this attitude will lead you into a place of danger if you are not careful. Whenever a species upon the earth starts to wither and leave the earth, it means that there is a great imbalance in the earth. Each of you here have the ability to be self-aware, to be aware of how you live your life and how you share your energy on the planet. I encourage each of you to take stock today of how you interact with the world around you. If you see a bug on the sidewalk where you're walking, if you sit on the street, do you take your foot and squash it? Do you know that in so doing you have ended a life, a soul, a being with consciousness that has desire, fears, thoughts and will? Now in the scientific community today it's very popular to say, well, these things are lower life forms, they have no developed sensory system. But in the spirit world I can tell you that all life exists here. Even the insects come here. But the difference is that they are treated with respect and they do not interfere or create annoyances. I understand that in the earth realm, that sometimes some creatures seem to be a detriment to human life. And it is that there is imbalance in all levels of reality. If you look at the human condition, you will see that there are humans who are also imbalanced and create suffering for others. This energy extends to the plants and to the chaos of the insect world. And so do not think that your imbalance has no impact on others. Were humanity more imbalanced, the rest of the earth should reflect this balance. People say we are at the top of the food chain. We are the pinnacle of success. This is true in an intelligence level, and even more so why one should be doubly careful with how one conducts oneself upon the earth. If you conduct yourself with wisdom, with compassion, with intelligence, you radiate out from yourself a vibration that goes in many places and in many directions. This impact affects people you do not even know. For those of you here today who are empathic, you understand this vibrational frequency. Many of you have occasionally walked into an office or to a room and instantly felt ill. And you could not figure out initially why it is that you felt ill. Perhaps your stomach did not feel balanced or you felt weak suddenly. Your empathic energies allow you to pick up the vibration that humans implant in places and on objects. This vibrational frequency is a true and physical reality that will affect your physical body as well as your mental body and soul bodies. So do not think that your attitude, your anger, your prejudices do not carry a vibration. This is why we are encouraged by all the great masters to speak wisely, calmly, and very limited in our words, be limited in our speech, and only speak words that are uplifting and compassionate and wise. Too many humans waste the gift of speech on ceaseless chatter. They ramble and they do not make any point, and in the end they've worn everyone out with their ceaseless chatter. Do not do this. Speak only words that are truthful, that are beneficial, and in doing so, you imprint upon the world the vibration that uplifts it. If you wish to see balance return to the earth, start with yourself. You cannot change your neighbor, you cannot change the world at large until you begin with your own consciousness. And in so doing, the vibration that you generate will help many around you. Fletcher says that the power is fading, I must step from the body. Oh, give us just a moment here. We've got to get control of the medium's vibration. There seems to be a strange energy fluctuation. Oh, there we go. You know, there's a lot of electric energy in the air today, and it seems to be affecting him. So we won't stay too long in the body. But I got somebody else here who wants to be saying hello. I'll step out. Oh, greetings, my dear Sister Rose. Oh, it's such a blessing to be here with all of you. You know, when I look upon the earth and I see all of you souls who are striving towards the higher realms. Oh, it makes me feel with such joy. My only regret is that in my earthly life I did not seek the things of spirit, as so many of you do. You are a great example to those around you. And as Alfred said previously, it is so important that you impress the highest and the best vibration on the world around you. There are many people in the world today who struggle with depression, with anxiety, and they do not know where to turn. When you let your light shine brightly, then people are drawn to your energy, and in so doing they receive healing by your very presence. Now some of you would say, Rose, I don't know a thing about healing. I don't know how to do any of that spiritual stuff. It's not about doing so much, my dear, as rather it is being. You know, in my earthly life I fluctuated often in a state of anxiety and, well, you know, self-absorption, I suppose. And my self-absorption led to my anxiety. And my anxiety in turn produced more self-absorption. It was a vicious cycle. And it was not until I came over to the spirit world that I began to understand how that cycle was played out. You see, over here, things are based on frequency. And the higher the vibration, the more light and beauty are drawn to that energy. Each of you have within yourself the very spark of heaven, the very spark of God, of the divine, of infinite intelligence. And so when you let that spark of infinite intelligence predominate in your life, your frequency is high, your words are pure and uplifting, and people around you are inspired and blessed and healed. You say, Rose, can I do all that merely with just being aware of this? Oh, yes, my dears. No, it does take focus and concentration to raise one's vibration. This is acquired over time through daily meditation, through spending time in some quiet. It's very important in our modern world that we escape the noise around us. You know, in my time, I could go down a little side street in London and have a little peace, even though the street in front of my home was quite the thoroughfare. You know, it was easy still in those days to get away, you know, and have a little peace. These days, it's very difficult to have peace, and now people walk around with these little computers on their bodies, ringing and talking and looking at things. My dear, sometimes you'll have to put down that little thing. What do we call cell phone? That's the word. Oh, it's a strange thing to me. Over here, I still don't understand it. You know, I have to say, when one comes to the spirit world, one does not always understand everything that occurs on the earth. You know, I'm still at my day, and I'm trying to understand your world. But I can tell you as a spirit guide that when you spend all your energy being obsessed with information and knowledge, have to know, all the latest, you overwhelm your mind. And when you do that, you create imbalance, and therefore you start with anxiety, and then depression, and self-absorption, and all of these things, one leads to the other. Oh, now, my dears, I don't wish to say that cell phones alone cause all of this, no. But for some people, it is a cause. But you see, the important thing is that you understand that you have to have quiet time for yourself. The human mind is meant to have time for reflection. How many people on the earth today spend time in serious spiritual reflection? I can tell you from over here in the spirit world, not very many. One thing that's beautiful about the spirit world is there are great vast expanses, giant fields and mountains and beaches, where you can walk and contemplate your mind, your thoughts, your soul journey. Over here, the practice of contemplation is very important, for we cannot serve as spirit guides unless we have a level and a great degree of self-awareness. How does one achieve self-awareness? One achieves it through quiet time. So I invite each of you today to consider, where in your life do you have too much noise, too much interference? Where might you find some quiet time for contemplation? If you do so, you will begin to hear our world. Do you know that we of the spirit world are always leading and guiding so many on earth? But so many people have shut us out because they will not settle down and hear our messages. This is why we are so very thankful for our medium here. Do you know he takes the time to settle down, to hear us, and to let us guide him? And we're most thankful. We should like to guide all of you, if you will but allow it. Please consider allowing us to come. Call upon me. Say, Rose, will you come to me? But you know, if I come to you, you must make some time for me. You know, it's a lot of effort for us to cross between the worlds, and we don't wish for you to call us and then go off and, you know, deal with that little electronic thing you do and ignore us. Don't do that, my dears. Make time for us. We will make time for you. We're so very thankful for each of you today. Fletcher says the medium's power is starting to wane, so I don't wish to overload his circuitry and tax the body. But we do thank you for visiting with us, and we hope that in the future you will come and sit with us again. The power's starting to fade, and I don't think I can stay anymore. I'm going away now. My name's Rose. Well, Tubies, I am so thankful for the spirit people that they come and they speak through me and they guide us all. If you've enjoyed today's class and seance, I might encourage you to pop over to my website and check out my books. The book about my work as a trance channel is in this book, Messages from Rose, and you can pick that up at robert-hickman.com. The link will be in the info box below. But definitely check out my book. There's the website on the back, www.robert-hickman.com. So check it out. We've got Mysteries from Rose. We've got Ouija Mysteries, the Spirit Board Seances. We've got Psyche Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. And we got more. These are just a few that I had on my desk. Definitely check them out. And if you're interested in getting on my schedule for a private reading, give me a call at 703-825-3929. That is my new office number. Or you can write to me at my email. Again, the link below. Readings at robert-hickman.com. So give me a call. We'll get you on the schedule. You know, private reading with me is a full hour one-on-one, you and I. We cover everything: past, present, future, spirit guides, life themes. That's an important one. Life themes. Your mission, your karmic links, messages from deceased loved ones. And I answer all your questions. So we cover a lot in a private reading. So I encourage you to see that. Check that out and consider it as well. Well, guys, listen, I got to wrap it up here. I got a day of readings, but I am so glad you're here. I love you. Send my blessings to you. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Sunday. It's going to be the witching hour, and we're going to have our Mabon ritual. So make sure to be here. We're going to get that Mabon ritual posted today. So check it out over on Facebook. That link will be below. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the witching hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Blessed be.